There exists a particular kind of pain that settles deep within the human heart, a pain born not from what was done, but from what was left undone. Your person carries this weight now, a burden that grows heavier with each passing dawn. It is the crushing weight of regret, and it colors every moment of their existence with the haunting awareness of a love they failed to cherish when it stood before them, radiant and unwavering. In the quiet hours when the world sleeps and defenses crumble, they find themselves transported back to a time when you loved them with the fierce intensity of 1,000 burning stars. It was a love so pure, so complete, that it could have reshaped mountains and redirected rivers. You offered them the most sacred part of yourself, your heart laid bare, vulnerable and trusting, believing in them with a faith that transcended reason. During those precious moments, you were everything beautiful about love made manifest. You were open like morning light streaming through crystal windows, loyal as the tide that returns faithfully to shore, vulnerable as the first flower of spring, and endlessly giving like a wellspring that never runs dry. You presented them with the truest version of yourself, holding nothing back, asking for nothing more than to be seen, to be valued, to be loved in return. But they were not ready. Perhaps they were not willing, or perhaps they simply lacked the courage that love demands, the courage to strip away pretense and meet you in that sacred space where souls recognize each other. They remained guarded when you needed them to be open, distant when you craved closeness, hesitant when you deserved certainty. In that crucial moment when love asked them to rise, they chose to remain small. Now, blessed and cursed with the clarity that only hindsight can provide, they see with devastating precision how profoundly they failed you. They understand now that they were witnessing something extraordinary, a once-in-a-lifetime love that most people spend their entire existence searching for, and they let it slip through their fingers like sand, too foolish to cup their hands and hold it close. The emptiness they carry now is not merely an absence, it is a presence unto itself, sharp and persistent, a constant companion that reminds them of what they lost through their own inability to recognize treasure when it was freely offered. They ache for you in ways that go beyond the obvious manifestations of missing someone. Yes, they long for your smile that could illuminate the darkest corners of their world, and your laughter that danced through the air like music made tangible. But it is the smaller, quieter details that truly torment them now. They remember the way your voice would soften when you spoke to them, becoming something intimate and precious, reserved only for their ears. They recall how your eyes would light up with pure joy when excitement overtook you, transforming your entire face into something luminous and magical. They can still feel the echo of how you instinctively cared for them without being asked, the way you anticipated their needs and tended to their heart as naturally as breathing. Every memory of you has become both sanctuary and torture chamber. These moments exist now as frozen snapshots of perfection that they desperately wish they could step back into, knowing all the while that time moves only forward, never back. Each recollection cuts deep because it represents not just what was, but what could have been, if only they had possessed the wisdom then that they carry now. The anger they feel toward themselves burns with the intensity of 1,000 suns. They are furious at their past self for treating something so precious with such carelessness. In those days, they convinced themselves they had time, infinite, abundant time. They believed your love was something they could take for granted, a constant they could always count on regardless of how poorly they reciprocated it. They thought you would always be there, waiting patiently while they figured out how to love you properly. But love, they have learned too late, is not an infinite resource. It requires nurturing, attention, and reciprocity to flourish. Without these essential elements, even the strongest love will eventually wither, no matter how deeply rooted it once was. They failed to tend the garden of your affection, and now they must live with the consequences of that neglect. They can picture you now in those moments of your greatest vulnerability, giving everything you had and receiving so little in return. The image breaks something fundamental within them because they can imagine what it must have felt like to love someone so completely and not have that love reflected back with equal intensity. They have come to understand the profound loneliness you must have experienced, the isolation of loving someone who could not or would not love you back with the same devotion. In a cruel twist of cosmic justice, they now find themselves standing in your former place, experiencing firsthand the hollow ache of unrequited love. They understand now, with brutal clarity, that they may never be capable of loving anyone the way you loved them. Your love was a force of nature, intense, selfless, and unwavering. It was the kind of love that poets spend lifetimes trying to capture in words, the kind that most people only dream of experiencing. They can catalog their mistakes now with painful precision, each one a dagger to their heart. The greatest error of all was their failure to give you the time you deserved. They treated your presence as a given rather than the gift it was, always assuming there would be another tomorrow, another week, another year to make things right. They didn't realize that love requires daily cultivation, that it needs consistent effort and attention to grow strong and deep. Their failure to reciprocate your love was not merely a mistake, it was the greatest tragedy of their existence, a choice that haunts them with the knowledge that it can never be undone. With this realization comes another, equally devastating truth: you were not simply someone they cared about. You were a blessing, a once-in-a-lifetime gift from the universe itself, and instead of treasuring you as you deserved, they allowed their fears, distractions, and insecurities to create barriers between you. The truth is, they had never experienced unconditional love before you. Every previous connection in their life had come with strings attached, hidden agendas, or unspoken limitations. So when you offered them love without conditions, without expectations of return, they could not comprehend it. They doubted its authenticity because it seemed too good to be true, too pure to be real. They expected you to eventually pull away, to start demanding something in return, to reveal the hidden cost of your affection. But you proved them wrong time and again through your words, your actions, and the unwavering way you stood by them even when circumstances became difficult. You demonstrated that your love was different, not based on what they could provide or achieve, but rooted simply in who they were as a person. This realization both amazes and devastates them now because they see how precious that gift was and how carelessly they handled it. They had something most people never find, and they failed to recognize its value until it was gone. Now, thinking about you brings both comfort and agony. They find themselves revisiting memories like sacred texts, poring over late-night conversations, shared moments of laughter, and the way you looked at them as though they were the most important person in existence. Each recollection brings tears because they know these moments exist only in the past now, unreachable and irreplaceable. The longing they feel for you is unlike anything they have ever experienced. It is deep, aching, and relentless, a constant presence that no amount of distraction can silence. From their perspective, there is an energy of yearning that borders on desperation. They want to tell you everything they have learned, to pour out all the words they kept locked away when they had the chance to speak them freely. They want to admit they were wrong, that they were blind to the treasure they held. But more than anything, they want to feel your presence again, to experience even for a moment what it was like to be loved by you with such completeness and grace. In their quiet moments, they torture themselves with visions of what might have been. If they had chosen differently, if they had opened their heart fully, if they had given you their time and attention, if they had met your love with the same intensity and devotion you offered them, how different everything would be. These thoughts haunt them because they know in their deepest heart that what you gave them was truly once in a lifetime, and that such love, once lost, rarely finds its way back. So they carry this burden day after day, a constant reminder that real love must be cherished in the present moment, not after it has departed. Though they may never have the opportunity to make amends, they will always know that you were the one who loved them purely, selflessly, and without condition, and that losing you was the greatest mistake they will ever make. When you finally walked away from me, it created a wound that cut deeper than I ever imagined possible. This was not a simple farewell or a temporary separation, it was a seismic shift that shook the very foundation of who I thought I was. I felt the sharp sting of rejection pierce through my chest, and if I am being completely honest, it shattered my pride into countless fragments. My ego, which I had unconsciously constructed like an elaborate fortress over the years, came crashing down in that singular moment. The fall was spectacular and complete, leaving me exposed and vulnerable in ways I had never experienced before. Yet beneath the pain and wounded pride, something else emerged, something quieter but infinitely more powerful. I felt a deep, abiding respect for the choice you made. I came to understand that it takes extraordinary courage to walk away from someone you care about when you believe they are not treating you with the dignity you deserve. Most people choose the path of silence or compromise to maintain peace, but you did not. You stood firm in your convictions, even though I know it must have caused you tremendous pain to do so. That single act of courage showed me a strength I had never fully appreciated before, a strength I both admire and, if I am honest, envy. Your decision to walk away became the catalyst for something I had never expected. It inspired me in ways that have fundamentally changed how I see myself and love itself. Your departure forced me to confront aspects of myself I had been avoiding, to examine my flaws with unflinching honesty, and to realize that if I wanted any chance of preserving our connection, I would need to approach it with dignity and integrity rather than the entitlement and complacency I had previously shown. The transformation you have undergone since that day is impossible to ignore. You have evolved into a version of yourself that radiates self-respect and inner strength with every breath you take. This metamorphosis sends me a crystal-clear message: you will not accept me back into your life until I have taken complete responsibility for my mistakes and proven through my actions that I have truly changed. It is not enough to offer apologies, however heartfelt they might be. I must demonstrate through consistent behavior that I am committed to making real, lasting amends. I must take the initiative in guiding our connection toward a healthier, more loving direction, one where respect, trust, and honesty are not negotiable but fundamental. Looking at everything with clear eyes now, I have come to recognize a painful but necessary truth. The people I once considered my allies, those I believed truly loved and supported me, were never genuinely on my side. They were present only for what they could gain from the association with me. Their kindness was nothing more than a thin veneer covering fundamentally selfish intentions. This realization stings, but in a strange way, I am grateful for it. The loss of these false connections has allowed me to finally see and appreciate the rare, genuine bond one had with you. What causes me the deepest pain is knowing that I failed to value the one person who offered me loyalty and love without asking for anything in return. You never demanded more than I was capable of giving, you only wanted sincerity, honesty, and the same level of devotion you offered me so freely and generously. Instead, I allowed doubt and misplaced trust to cloud my judgment. I see now that I hurt the person who stood by me with the purest of intentions, and that guilt sits heavily on my chest every single day, a constant reminder of the work I must do to become worthy of you again. Despite everything, the mistakes, the distance, the hard lessons learned, there is one truth that remains untouched by time or circumstance. From the very first moment I met you, you captivated my heart in ways that went far beyond physical attraction or shared interests. There was something deeper at work, something almost mystical that I still struggled to put into words. You seemed to possess an innate understanding of parts of me that I had kept carefully hidden from the world, the restless, chaotic aspects of my nature that no one else had ever been able to calm or comprehend. You were the first person who could soothe my inner demons, not by trying to fix or change me, but simply by accepting me as I was while inspiring me to become better. This was not about temporary comfort or fleeting pleasure. What you provided was something far more profound, a sense of belonging, a place where I could finally exhale without fear of judgment or rejection. In your presence, I felt safe enough to reveal my flawed, imperfect self while simultaneously feeling inspired to grow and evolve. This is an extraordinarily rare gift, one that I will never again take for granted. I treasure the memory of our small, quiet moments together, the conversations that lasted deep into the night, the knowing glances that spoke volumes without words, the times when silence felt more intimate than any spoken declaration of love. These memories play in my mind like a treasured film I cannot stop watching, serving as both comfort and reminder of what I risk losing forever if I do not change. I want you to know that this journey of self-reflection is not simply about missing you, though that longing burns bright and constant. This is about recognizing your immeasurable worth and acknowledging my own profound shortcomings. It is about understanding that love is not merely a feeling that comes and goes with the tides. It is a conscious choice, a sacred responsibility, and a daily commitment to nurture and protect the bond we share. I am ready to embrace that responsibility now, not out of fear of losing you, but from the deep respect and love that has only grown stronger through this time apart. If I possessed the power to rewrite history, I would return to those crucial moments and choose differently. I would listen more carefully, speak with greater kindness, and protect our relationship from the noise and interference of others who did not have our best interests at heart. Since I cannot change the past, all I can do now is prove through my actions that I have learned from these painful lessons. I understand that the road back to you will not be quick or easy, and I do not expect forgiveness to arrive instantly. But I am willing to earn it step by step, day by day, because you are worth every effort, every sacrifice, every moment of discomfort this journey may require. Here I stand now, humbled by experience, awakened to truth, and determined to become the person you deserved from the beginning. I do not want to simply return to where we were before, because that foundation was flawed. Instead, I want to build something stronger, something that can withstand whatever storms life may bring our way. When that day comes, when I have made the necessary changes and proven myself through consistent action rather than empty words, I hope you will see that I am no longer the person who let you down. I will be someone who has been transformed by the loss of you and by the hope of earning your trust again. No matter what the future holds, I want you to remember this fundamental truth: you have left an indelible mark on my soul. You are the first and only person who has ever made me feel truly at home in this world, and for that gift, I will carry you in my heart always. Your partner finds themselves in a state of quiet astonishment, perhaps even bewilderment, at the remarkable level of self-control you have demonstrated in recent times. It is as though they are seeing you through entirely new eyes, wondering how you have seemingly overnight developed this calm, unshakable strength that radiates from your very being. They have noticed, with a mixture of surprise and growing concern, that you are no longer taking the initiative in your connection. The calls have stopped, the texts no longer arrive, and you have ceased reaching out to check on their well-being. This absence, so unlike the natural rhythm that once existed between you, has left them with a deep, gnawing ache that seems to grow stronger with each passing day. It is in this silence, this space between you, that they have begun to realize just how much territory you truly occupy in both their mind and heart. They find themselves missing you far more intensely than they ever expected, far more than they would ever be willing to admit aloud to anyone. You have become a constant presence in their thoughts, even when they actively try to distract themselves with other pursuits and obligations. In those quiet moments when no one is watching and their guard finally drops, they drift into elaborate daydreams about you. They replay conversations with perfect clarity, remembering every nuance of your smile, every unspoken moment when your energies seemed to connect so effortlessly and powerfully that the rest of the world simply disappeared around you. That connection transcended mere physical attraction or compatibility. It was something that touched the deepest parts of their soul in a way that felt both absolutely thrilling and utterly terrifying. It awakened parts of them they did not even know existed while simultaneously making them feel more like themselves than they ever had before. Now, in your deliberate absence, they cannot help but crave those moments you shared together with an intensity that surprises them. They long to relive the memories, the spontaneous laughter that bubbled up between you, the gentle touches that spoke volumes without words, the profound comfort of your presence that made them feel as though they had finally found someone who understood them without judgment or pretense. You became someone who could see the parts of them they rarely revealed to anyone, the hidden aspects of their personality that they guard so carefully from the world. To them, you represent the purest, most loving experience they have ever encountered in their lifetime. No matter how much time passes or how many new people enter their orbit, they know with absolute certainty that what they shared with you cannot be replicated with anyone else.